A team of explorers travel through a wormhole in space in an attempt to ensure humanity's survival. Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're bringing you some Did You Know facts about Interstellar. So, let's get started. Steven Spielberg was first intended to direct. The original script for Interstellar, when Steven Spielberg was attached to direct, is virtually an entirely different movie. Murph was a boy. The robot characters were more humanoid, with shoulders and hands, and TARS was going to be sucked into space while the ship was stuck between two black holes. On the ice planet, they discovered that a Chinese mission had been there around 30 years prior and seemed to have vanished, until it is learned that they were killed by the radiation of a neutron star. After searching the area, they find an abandoned Chinese camp with an experimental black box that can control gravity, and are then discovered by Chinese robots who sabotage their return home with the box. After entering a second wormhole where they find a space station built by the Chinese that's powered by a captured mini black hole, they discover that the Chinese have built thousands of wormholes and have tried to travel back in time with the gravity technology to save all of Earth, but dying in the process. Cooper returns to Earth in one of the wormholes and returns in the year 2230 to find a barren land with ice storms. This version of the script was written by Jonathan Nolan. Technically advanced robotic system. Christopher Nolan came up with the design for TARS with the production designer Nathan Crowley. Nolan said that when he showed a model for TARS to his kids, they were initially unimpressed by it and didn't think it could be a robot. But once they saw how it could be reconfigured to serve different functions, they got excited about it. In the original script, TARS had a more human-like appearance, but Nolan wanted a more realistic approach to what a robot would be. I didn't even call them robots in the script. I referred to them as articulated machines because I wanted my crew and everybody to stop thinking of your standard idea of a robot. I wanted to have a machine in the film that was like a piece of gear, very tough, very resilient, that had been designed for whatever purpose best suited it. Cooper asks TARS if he is honest.
Hey TARS, what's your honesty parameter?
To which TARS replies he is programmed for 90% honesty.
90%. 90%.
A key theme of 2001: A Space Odyssey is the conflict HAL 9000, the ship's computer, has in being instructed to lie to Bowman and Poole. This conflict with his basic programming, to accurately process information, causes HAL to become psychotic and kill the crew, with the exception of Bowman. TARS, having the programmed ability to lie, would overcome this problem when he interacts with humans.
Absolute honesty isn't always the most diplomatic, nor the safest form of communication with emotional beings.
Okay.
TARS is voiced by American actor Bill Irwin, who operated the hydraulics of the robot. He controlled the heavy machinery, which weighed almost 200 pounds. The actor was digitally removed during post-production as he was a few inches taller than TARS. While planning the mission to Miller's planet, Cooper says, "There's not going to be any time for chit-chat or monkey business down there, so TARS, you should definitely stay here." Then the shot cuts to TARS in a monolithic position, which is probably a reference to the monolith from 2001: A Space Odyssey. The dust storms. The apocalyptic Earth setting in this film was inspired by the Dust Bowl disaster that took place in the United States during the Great Depression in the 1930s that greatly damaged the ecology and agriculture of the American and Canadian prairies. The phenomenon was caused by a combination of both natural factors, severe drought, and man-made factors of failure to apply dryland farming methods to prevent wind erosion, most notably the destruction of the natural topsoil by settlers in the region. The documentary-style interviews of older survivors shown at the beginning of the film, and again on the television playing in the farmhouse towards the end of the movie, are from Ken Burns' The Dust Bowl. They are real survivors, not actors, of that natural disaster. The giant dust clouds were created on location using large fans to blow cellulose-based synthetic dust through the air. For a cornfield in the movie, Christopher Nolan sought to grow 500 acres of corn, which he learned was feasible from his producing of Man of Steel. The corn was then sold, and he made a profit. The Water Planet. In the scene where Cooper has to land their ship on Miller's water planet, The camera focuses on him gripping the seat of his chair. This is a reference to a common aviation saying, "Fly by the seat of your pants." Before modern instruments, pilots relied on instinct and their senses to fly, such as sight, using landmarks to gauge altitude or distance. Pilots also used to feel the vibrations from their seat from air hitting the plane to determine wind speed and direction. Cooper verifies this when he says he needs to feel the air in order to land properly, instead of relying on technology. After the crew landed on Miller's planet, just when they're about to get off Ranger 1, the score softens and we can hear ticks approximately once every second. Because of the time dilation due to gargantua's gravity, every tick represents approximately 17 hours on Earth. Cooper and Dr. Brand come back to Endurance after 23 years, 4 months, and 8 days, which means that their entire mission on Miller's planet took some 3 hours, 17 minutes. Although Doyle is presumed drowned after being struck by the tidal wave on Miller's planet, his suit appears intact when the Ranger leaves, meaning it's remotely possible he could have survived the impact and is merely unconscious. Given the extreme time dilation on Miller's planet, a rescue is very possible. Assuming a mission were to be dispatched from Cooper's station orbiting Saturn, it would take only 9 hours in relative time for Doyle to be rescued, but 65+ years would have passed for the rest of the world. The Spaceship. The Endurance, which is also the name of Ernest Shackleton's ship that he took on his expedition to be the first to travel the full circumference of Antarctica. That expedition came to an end when the ship was trapped in the ice sheets that surrounded Antarctica. Though the mission was considered a failure, everyone on the ship made it back alive. The Endurance, Ranger, and Lander spacecrafts were created using miniatures effect and full-size models, as Christopher Nolan felt they were better than computer-generated effects to give the ships a real presence in space. The shape of the space station is in reference to a clock face, with time being a major theme in the movie. Physical laws of nature. Early in pre-production, Dr. Kip Thorne laid down 2 guidelines to strictly follow. Nothing would violate established physical laws, and that all the wild speculations would spring from science and not from the creative mind of a screenwriter. Christopher Nolan accepted these terms as long as they did not get in the way of making the movie. That did not prevent clashes, though. At one point, Thorne spent 2 weeks talking Nolan out of an idea about traveling faster than light. To create the wormhole and black hole, Dr. Kip Thorne collaborated with VFX supervisor Paul J. Franklin and his team at Double Negative. Thorne provided pages of deeply sourced theoretical equations to the team, who then created new CGI software programs based on these equations to create accurate computer simulations of these phenomena. Some individual frames took up to 100 hours to render, and ultimately the whole CGI program reached to 800 terabytes of data. The resulting VFX provided Thorne with new insight into the effects of gravitational lensing and accretion disks surrounding black holes, and led him to writing 2 scientific papers, one for the astrophysics community and one for the computer graphics community. After solving the gravity equation, Murph shouts, "Eureka!" This is a reference to a phrase used by the ancient Greek inventor Archimedes, meaning, "I found it." He said it after realizing that the volume of water displaced in a tub had to be equal to the volume of the submerged body part. By doing so, he was able to precisely measure the volume of irregular objects. It is also the state motto of California, in reference to gold being found near Sutter's Mill in 1848, triggering the California Gold Rush. In either context, the word has become synonymous with discovery. What other fun trivia facts do you know about Interstellar? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in our next video.